Hello and welcome to another edition of News and Rumors for the Hockey Writers. Today, we'll be looking at the Vancouver Canucks. I am Mark, he is Matt, and I've been on many times doing previews and reviews and recaps and all this stuff, but never in this chair. So today, our guy Matt and I are switching places and talking about the Vancouver Canucks. Matt, how you doing today, man? Good to see you.
I'm doing great. Canucks season is about to start finally after a preseason, off season, and too long of an off season. So I'm happy to get stuff going and actually have some hockey to watch. It actually means something in the standings.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, not the best year for your boys last year, but that's behind us. Summer, like you said, has come. It has gone. We're all full of hope. We're all looking forward to the future. All the dramas put aside. Looking at the forward roster for the opening night game, how are we feeling? The top six looking really deep like it has for the last couple of years, but overall, how are we feeling about the Vancouver Canucks forward group for opening night?
Well, the biggest thing is Braeden Cootes making the roster at 18 years old, which is insane. He was just drafted a few months ago, and he is in the opening night lineup on the third line, third line center between Lekramaki and Evander Kane. I call this the kid line plus their dad. I'm just like, it's just funny because Evander Kane's like 35, or 34. And then Braeden Cootes 18, Lekramaki's 21. It's a fun line, and they were paired together in the preseason, which and they looked pretty good. And Braeden Cootes was just so impressive. He deserves to be on this roster. Didn't play like he's 18, very mature. And Lekramaki, just between the last few games, in preseason games, he basically made the roster because his shot is just it's a snipe. I mean, the 2 goals he scored in the last preseason game on and off his stick within like seconds. And he's going to be a 30-goal scorer in the NHL at some point. I'm not saying this season, but he is. It's a very interesting line. I'm really excited to see that one. The one I'm kind of interested in the second line is with Arshdeep Bains, Philip Hedl, and Connor Garland. This lineup has been set the last few practices. It's looking like this is the one that's going to go into the season. And it's kind of interesting with Drew O'Connor not being there, because Hedl and O'Connor played together towards the end of last season. It looked really good. And I'm not sure why Bains is there and O'Connor's not. And the fourth line looks more, I don't know. I don't know. Arshdeep Bains, nothing against him as a player. He's a great forechecker. I'd say he's more slotted to be a fourth line guy. But I mean, with Teddy Bluger out, Atu Ratu takes over as a fourth line center, and probably penalty killing. And it's overall, it's a pretty good roster to start the season. It'd be better if Bluger was in the lineup because he's just such a great penalty killer. But the biggest storyline is Braeden Cootes making this roster and being in the opening night lineup when they drop the puck at Rogers Arena. So that's going to be fun to see his first NHL game.
Yeah, and I mean, typically when you see somebody at that age, it's your Sidney Crosbys, your Connor McDavids, your Austin Matthews, right? And so for him to break this roster at this age, the huge kudos to him. Before we move on, I think, we got to ask it. I said there's no drama throughout the summer and through training camp, but that doesn't mean there wasn't drama, obviously, in the year, in the last, year plus. How are we feeling about Pettersson? New year, new season, ever since the playoffs of 2 seasons ago, and then obviously leaking into last season. It's been a really tough grind for him on the ice, plus off the ice. The media, like us, love to talk about it. How are we feeling through training camp and heading into opening night?
I mean, he looked good at various times in the preseason. His shot seems like it's back. He had that great one-timer goal against the Flames. And it's one of those things where when he gets that shot away, he seems like he can score and just hasn't been able to do that as often in the last season or so. So it's great to see that. He looks like he's stronger on the boards. He's not falling down as much. He's holding on to the puck, and he's engaging a bit more physically. So that's a good sign for him going into this season. But I mean, the thing is, he's going to be under a microscope all season long, because when you look at this lineup, it's Hedl has looked good in the preseason as well with his speed and stuff. But if Pettersson isn't going, Philip Hedl is not a top line center. He's even a borderline second line center.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if Pettersson's not doing much and he's around 40 points, this team's in trouble. So, I mean, so far so good, but we all know the regular season's a lot different. And if he starts slow, the noise is just going to get louder, and he's going to be asked about it all the time. So I'm hoping that he gets off to a great start and that noise is lessened. But I mean, any slump during the season something's going to come up. So we'll see. But I'm optimistic to coming into the season because he looks pretty good.
Yeah, and I mean, like, Besser on his best day has the ability to carry the load from time to time if he has to. But other than that, the offense really is going to count on Pettersson carrying his share. And that'll obviously, and you said it, man, this is going to be a full season thing. If there's a 2 or 3 week slump that is acceptable for most players, just based on recent history, it will be not as acceptable for him, especially within the Vancouver media. All right, moving on to the defensive units heading into opening night. Obviously, you got the top guy, arguably the best defenseman in the league. People obviously have others they would say, but if you said Hughes is the best, like, no one would fight you on it. Other than him, obviously he carries the load offensively for the back end and on the power play, special teams, that whole deal. How do we feel about the rest of the defensive unit heading into opening night?
It looks pretty. It's their strength. I mean, I said in the season preview video as well. This is one of their strengths of the team. I mean, you're looking at, of course, Hughes and Hronek is just a tried and true pairing. It's one of the best in the league in the advanced stats and the possession, all that stuff. They control play most of the time when they're on the ice. The second unit, second pairing, Marcus Pettersson, Tyler Myers, have looked like have gained a lot of chemistry since they were put together when Marcus Pettersson was acquired last season. And they could be a bit of a good shutdown pairing. I mean, as much as people kind of get on Tyler Myers, I don't get the hate. I don't get it at all. I mean, sorry, Canucks fans, but I don't understand. Because he has improved a lot over the last, probably since Adam Foote took over as the coach of the defense. Of course, now the head coach. But, Myers is one of those guys that he seems to have just cleaned up his defensive game. Yes, he has the, occasional blunder, but every defenseman has them. But I think he's just really quieted his game. And when you look at Marcus Pettersson, he is one of the better two-way defensemen in the NHL. Great stick, great physical, blocks shots. And he's big too. So, I mean, you're at two guys that have long reach, and they'll be probably matched against the top guys, the Connor McDavids of the world. That's the defense pairing that'll be matched against them. And then you look at the bottom pairing with Derek Forbort, Elias Pettersson. He made the roster over Victor Mancini. Mancini is back up. I mean, he was sent down to the AHL briefly, but because of the injury to Pierre-Olivier Joseph, he is now back as the seventh defenseman. So he could rotate in between Pettersson and Mancini probably throughout the season. But I see Pettersson starting because, I mean, again, great two-way defenseman, physical. He's actually a lot like Marcus Pettersson, which is very interesting. So, I mean, he's playing his offside as well, which is interesting for a rookie to start because Forbort's a left defense. So, and Forbort, I mean, we all know what he is. He's great. He's a good physical defenseman, penalty killer. But overall, this unit is probably one of the best in the Pacific Division, maybe in the Western Conference for a defense. So I'm really excited to see it in action because it's actually pretty solid.
Yeah. Having three Pedersen Petersons is one of the most confusing situations in all the NHL. So you have your top six, and you talked about Mancini. Beyond the top seven, because you're right, this is a stacked defensive unit. Is there any concern outside of your top seven? Obviously, if Hughes gets hurt, that's a big deal, but we'll take him out of this. No one is replacing that guy. Is there concern beyond that top seven as far as depth goes?
No, I mean, and there's so many good young guys like Tom Willander. I had a pretty good training camp. He's in his first season, and he was sent down to the AHL. He needs some seasoning, but again, he's down there for depth. You got Victor Mancini, mentioned him already. He's there. Ilya, Kirill Kudryavtsev, who's down in the minors as well. I had a great training camp, and he had a great season in the AHL last season and playoffs. So, I mean, overall, they've got some pretty good depth down. I mentioned Sorminio as well. He's starting his season down there too, and he's in his first pro season, and he had a great end to his junior career too. So, I mean, there's some depth on defense, which I'm excited about to see throughout the season. But I'd say, like, it would get dicey if one of the top four gets hurt. Because Elias Pettersson can step in and kind of maybe replace Marcus if he gets hurt. But I mean, I'm not really confident that Tom Willander can come in and replace a guy like Hronek or a guy like Myers at this point. But I'd say maybe halfway through the season, get some seasoning down in the AHL. Maybe he can come up, and I still wouldn't really feel confident in him taking on a ton of minutes that these guys take usually. So at this point, great potential depth, but for veteran guys, there's not really much beyond Pierre-Olivier Joseph for coming in and replacing, because I don't think anyone can really replace any of these top four guys if they get hurt.
Yeah, 100%. All right, let's move on to the goaltending unit heading into the 25-26 season. And, last season, we know the issues that Demko's had as far as staying healthy. Lankinen came in, did a terrific job. The Shilov's experiment was terrific in the postseason, didn't last, or at least it wasn't terrific as the season went on. He's no longer with the club. How are we feeling about the goaltending unit heading into? They're both signed now. Like they gave Demko his money, they gave Lankinen his money. How are we feeling about the goaltending heading into 25-26?
Yeah, I mean, I said in the season preview, it's not much more to say after training camp and preseason, because Demko looked good, Lankinen looked good, and any of their starts they had. And beyond that, even Nikita Tolopilo, who's the third goaltender in the AHL, looked great in the times he was in too. So, I mean, they've got a guy that can come up if there is, God forbid, we don't want it. We don't want either Lankinen or Demko hurt. But if that does happen, Tolopilo can be a pretty good stopgap for backup if he has to come in. So, I mean, their goaltending depth is actually pretty good. And again, one of their strengths going into the season. So I'm not worried about the goaltending. People are still worried about Demko. But preseason, didn't have any problems. He was making some great saves where you'd think, oh no, his knee's going to give out again. It didn't. So, I mean, he's coming into the season healthy. He's starting game one, which we couldn't say last season. Yeah. He was still rehabbing whatever injury he had. So, I mean, just having a season opener is a great thing. So I'm not worried about the goaltending, especially because there wasn't any worries throughout the training camp and preseason about any inkling of injury for Demko. So very good sign going into the season.
Yeah, 100%. And I know that a lot of people, when they signed Lankinen, a lot of the conversation was, oh, they signed him. that means that they're like moving on from Demko. And to me, it's just, hey, if you can create a tandem situation or a 60-40 situation, take the pressure off Demko a little bit. He's a world-class goaltender when he's healthy, but that's been the biggest problem with him is just staying healthy. When he's healthy, he's one of the best goaltenders, I don't know, like at his top, at his height, top 5, at least hovering that conversation, at least to me. So now that you have somebody backing him up that you can trust and rely on, it kind of takes the pressure on him of having to stay healthy for 55 plus games. And hopefully that, kind of takes the pressure off of him. Before we wrap it up, is there anything else about this roster that is on your mind as we head into opening night?
No, I mean, the biggest thing is that I'm really excited to see Braeden Cootes having his first NHL game, because I was excited when he was drafted. Everyone knows who watches any coverage of the Canucks, or prospects in general. I love Braeden Cootes. I did, and I will admit it, I did not expect him to make the opening night roster. I'm not going to lie and say, yes, he was going to. I thought he was going to have a good training camp, go back to junior, which he might still after 9 games, whatever.
Yeah, they have time. Yeah,
I did not think he'd have any chance of making this roster, especially as a third line center. Between playing with Vander Kane, because Vander Kane, I thought he was gonna be on the first or second line, but he's not. He's playing with a couple young guys, playing the role of mentor coming in, and that line could be very sneaky good offensive line. So I mean, I'm excited to see that line, because I think that's the biggest one going in. I'm just really pumped to see how that goes against the Flames in game 1.
Absolutely, man. Well, thank you for that preview on the starting lineup for the Vancouver Canucks. Thank you for releasing your threshold on this seat and allowing me to take your place for an episode. Thank you to everyone for watching another episode of News and Rumors for the Hockey Writers. Be sure to check out all of the great content that the Hockey Writers has to offer, whether it's on YouTube or on the website. Everyone's writing their preview articles, everyone's writing their game recaps, their game previews, lots of great content going for every single team. It's the season of game recaps and game takeaways, so please be sure to check out all of that, especially the content surrounding Maddie's Vancouver Canucks. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.